Greetings and salutations, everybody. Here is a bit of a different kind of video that I wanted to present as we begin the month of October and officially usher in the Halloween season, though I have actually been kind of already celebrating for the most part through most of September. But I just want to have a new take on some of the Halloween franchise films. So 2 years ago, I had revisited all of the Halloween films that I'd seen previously, the ones from the Halloween franchise, of course, and finally checking out several titles that I had actually never gotten around to seeing. So I'd previously seen only the original Halloween, Halloween H20, the first Rob Zombie Halloween, the 2018 Halloween by Blumhouse, and at the time of its release, I'd just seen Halloween Kills. And I will link to those videos that I made about those, which did horribly at the time. But I'll go ahead and link to those at the end of the video in case you're interested in checking them out. But a quick summary of them is that I was really surprised that I liked Halloween 3 as much as I did. And I found the journey kind of interesting, but, going through all those films. But really, I only took to the original Halloween 3 and the 3 Blumhouse films. Not that I didn't care for the others in the franchise. There were still aspects of them that I liked, but those were the only ones that I actually liked enough to, buy physical copies of and keep a copy just for me. But Halloween Kills, and especially Halloween Ends, sure have been received to varying degrees of acceptance or versus borderline hatred. While I really enjoyed them, many people absolutely hated some of them, so I wanted to kind of revisit the original and the Blumhouse films in a short time, to see how that story works without having as much of a break between all of those films, especially not having to wait a year between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So I chose the most Halloween representative day to check out 4 films in a row, which was 4th of July. Okay, that really has nothing to do with it, but I'd actually done a double feature that morning of the original Independence Day and Independence Day Resurgence, so I figured unless I put some more movies on, I may accidentally get off the couch, walk around, lose some weight, and get healthy and all that. So I went ahead and queued up 4 more movies, and I headed out on my little Halloween journey there. So watching all of them in one day definitely made a difference for me with this story. Looking at this overall arc of this story going from the late 70s through early 2020s, I actually enjoyed them much, much more. Seeing Strode and actually, there's more than just her that I picked up on, but seeing Haddonfield as kind of like its own character in a way. From the beginning of Michael Myers killing his sister, how that original classic unfolds, and picking up later, decades later actually, with Halloween from 2018, really pulled me in much more than taking months or a year between films, especially when we go from the Halloween 2018 to Kills and then to Ends. So while Halloween 2018 seemed to be taken pretty well, Kills and Ends definitely proved to be a bit divisive, but viewed this way, I definitely enjoyed them much more. So for instance, Kills worked much better for me this way because there was some focus kind of redistributed there. It veered off of Laurie a bit and more onto her family and onto the town as a whole. Because after all, even if some of these characters weren't directly involved with the situations with Michael Myers, they're still living in a town where these horrific events have taken place, and it's going to take a toll on that community, and I think that was represented really well. So Kills, I ended up liking it even more watching it so close to 2018 and so close to even watching the original. But even more surprising than that was Halloween Ends. So one big critique, which even though I'm a fan of Halloween Ends, I definitely agree with, is the idea of where's Michael Myers in this Halloween movie. It takes quite a while for him to even show up. Building anticipation is one thing, but after waiting a year between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, I could definitely see some people not liking his absence early on in that film. Along with that, there's the Corey dilemma. Some absolutely hated this character. I didn't really have that much of a problem with him, but on my first viewing, I had thought they were going to try to do some sort of evil transference into him like they did at the end of, I believe it was Halloween 4, and find a way to kind of milk this franchise for another 8 films. Luckily, of course, for those who've seen the films, they don't end up going down that route, but still, some just really didn't like much about him, possibly because they came to see Michael Myers after all. They knew that Halloween Ends is going to be the last one in the franchise. From what they're saying, they want to see Michael Myers and not Corey. Not to mention how easily Allison kind of seems to fall for Corey, which is another critique that I definitely agree with. But this time through, having just seen the previous 3 films in this storyline, I found the lack of Michael Myers to be just fine and almost a welcome. Almost as if it's like this sleeping threat, which once he does finally emerge and works his way back up to what's kind of like the closest he can get to his former self, as you know, this character is definitely pretty old at this point. It worked so well. It worked very well for me in the context of the story and this way of kind of watching these films. And anything about Corey and even the relationship with Allison, I really, was just fine with as well. I feel like with Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, they were really planning their exit when they were making these films. And that's why Kills has this cliffhanger and Ends really makes it definitive that he's gone at the end. So watched separately or watched with a big gap, they didn't work as well as watching it kind of like a TV show where it's just another episode that happens to be about 2 hours long. But yeah, basically in summary with those films, I feel like with a lot of films and shows, it matters pretty much how I watch them. If there's like a strike or something happening with COVID or something else that shuts down or delays a show or film series coming back for too long, I'll kind of lose investment in those characters and in that story. And also like in a film series, if they don't seem to plan out their films as well, by the time they get to that last installment, there's a lot of items that seem a bit rushed, and with some items just kind of being tacked on to the storyline to wrap things up quicker. And in some cases, it just takes too long to conclude the story. It just goes on, where even by the time you get to the ending, nothing's really going to live up to what you were hoping for after sticking with it so long. But I feel like with these Halloween films, especially with the last 2, they're kind of like that in that if you have those big breaks, they don't work as well. But, if you watch, for instance, 3 years after Halloween 2018, you jump into Halloween Kills, and then you have a cliffhanger, you're not going to be very happy with that. And then waiting a year after that for Halloween Ends, it's just going to be too long of a wait. They don't really work as well unless they are viewed much closer together, in my opinion. Now, I'm not advising that somebody go out and watch all 4 films in one day, unless that's your thing and you happen to have the time to check them out that quickly. But I would suggest revisiting them with a much closer turnaround time between films. Say no more than a week. Watch one every week and see if you like that storyline a little bit better that way. Because, after all, this is also the perfect season to revisit Haddonfield anyways. But anyways, that's all I got for this quick little video about those Halloween films. I definitely recommend checking them out with that shorter turnaround time. I think if you didn't really care for Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends that much, you may enjoy them a little bit better this way. But anyways, that's all I got for this. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and be sure to like and subscribe to stick around for what else I have in store for October. So happy Halloween, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.